Sit up, perk up, and get ready to be blown away. Now here is your host, Deborah Drummond.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Mission Accepted podcast show. You are by far the best audience, and I know that you hear me say that each week because it's actually true. You know me, I only tell the truth. And even though I have a podcast host guest on today, you still are the best podcast host audience because you guys are sending out, you're just like, you're full of, you know, what we would say, gumption. So you're sending out the podcast, you're sharing the word, and you guys are sending me messages, asking me questions, joining the Facebook group, being super interactive. And so I so appreciate, but you guys get to hear what you want when you do that. So keep up the good work. If you have not been to Mission Accepted podcast before, welcome. If this is your first show, we do some pretty cool stuff here. So you might be the same kind of person that I'm interviewing. And if you're like, I'd love to be on the show, get on here. But this is a show where I share gem stories and we kind of dig under the skin a little bit with entrepreneurs and ultrapreneurs. And if you don't know what an ultrapreneur is, well, that's what our guest is today. And also people that are creatives, those the music, the directors, the actors, the artists, the painters, and then also those self-funded media, you know, those hardworking TV hosts and radio hosts and podcast hosts. So people that have that entrepreneurial spirit that at some point, for whatever reason, took on the mission. Some people take it on because it's just screaming so loud, they just got to do it. They just can't not do this project anymore. And some people had their back against the wall and their job fell out or their industry ended. And they're like, okay, I'm finally going to, you know, go and do something on my own, no matter how crazy or scared that I am. I don't feel like I have any choice. So all of you and then some. And honestly, if you're here to listen to have some stories and pick up some gemstones and meet some really cool people and have some laughs, I mean, honestly, that's truly what we do. Okay. So we have a good time here. So I don't want to keep talking. I want to introduce you to someone who is an absolute gemstone. He is a media mogul. This man does it all and he makes impact. I mean, my gosh, this guy, we got to ask him, you guys, why Tony Robbins walked up to him and asked for his autograph. Or audiograph. Oh my gosh, there's a new word. Let's do it, Dave. You are someone asked for my audiograph. That's so millennial. That's so Gen Z. That's so Gen Z. Yeah, I'm like, oh, you would like my audiograph? Here, let me send you the video and I'll, DM you my autograph. Oh my gosh. Okay. Only on the show does this happen. Anyways, this man is a media mogul. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's a podcast host. He's done radio shows. He's done it all. And, hats off to you. So Dave, welcome to Mission Accepted.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Good to see you again. And wow, what a day. I decided to show up in my Doctor Who studio here because I've got Benedict Cumberbatch queued to come in that door over there any minute.
Awesome. You are on it. I told you guys, he's a media mogul. So look, there's the other side to you, or the combined side that's super big hearted. You're a big hearted man. You have strong spiritual principles. Let's talk about how this whole thing started. Because when you start to tell people what you do, and, particularly right now on your big love for the whole arena around encouragement, how did you get started here, my friend? How did you become that entrepreneur at the very beginning?
I realized that looking back, I was just interviewing some guy from Arkansas this morning, and we had a similar thing. I had a paper route. I was selling flower seeds door to door when I was 10. It was like this entrepreneurial thing was kind of built in, but I didn't know that that's what it was called. And I ended up discovering when I found out that my big brother was varsity everything in sports in high school, and I tried to follow my big brother, and I totally sucked at sports. So I ended up getting into the debate and drama team, which gave me. Here's how I realized that I needed to be a disc jockey, because part of the deal when you're on the debate team is you got to give the school announcements over a microphone and the Pledge of Allegiance, if we remember what that was about. And so what was weird was my friends were saying, Dave, we actually listen to the announcements when you're talking. And then right about the same time, it was way back when transistor radios existed. And at nighttime, I could pick up WLS Chicago, which was a very famous early Beatles mania rock and roll station. It started out as a Midwest farm report station until until the British invasion. And so I like late at night, and I'm thinking, oh man, I love this. I want to be a disc jockey. So, then in high school, I started my own newspaper and kind of got in trouble with that. It was a little risque when I had a friend that could do caricatures of the school teachers and make fun of them. And the band teacher wanted to sue me. So I actually did get kicked out of high school, but that's because I skipped too many history classes. So anyway, all that to say, I ended up going to college too early in Boston. I was only 17, so I was working 3 jobs and dropped out, went back home and worked for a couple of years. And I got to be 21 years old, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting so old. I better finish college. So I ended up going all the way to Oklahoma, having never been west of the Mississippi River. And the rest is history. I ended up working all over the United States at 10 different radio stations and having my own ad agency and doing TV commercials and getting an award from Mark Victor Hansen, chicken soup guy. Met him down in Orlando, and all the stuff I'm not. It's not to impress you; it's to impress upon you, as we say, that things happen in people's lives. And I've had totally disastrous business careers and things that happen, but like everybody, they've got a story to tell. And it's like the old joke, an overnight success after 30 years.
Oh, I can so relate to that. I mean, I love how you tell your story in relationship to being kicked out of school because you didn't go to this, or having that big brother where you thought that was the path that you needed to duplicate, or all of that, because I think so many of us still in our mind, no matter if we're in high school or in college or what have you, do a lot of comparison stuff, do a lot of, hey, their businesses look successful, mine maybe not so much. And many times, and I just talked about in the intro about sometimes we become an entrepreneur or we change direction in our entrepreneurship because our back's against the wall. So, you had this epiphany at 21, like your life was over. That happened to me at 25. I was like, I never wanted to celebrate my birthday. I thought I should have had it all together by then. I remember talking to my mother and just like, I'm not married. I don't have children. I don't have a career. I don't know where I'm going. And, so then I, of course, hop a plane and figure I'm going to go over to Montreal and study women's studies and change change women's studies and religious studies and change the impact of women all around the world. That's what I wanted to do because that's what I felt deemed to do. And I thought I was going to do it through university, and I thought I was going to do it through speaking. Ironically, it didn't go that way because the course got canceled, the religious studies, and ironically, I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter. So I couldn't take a 4-year women's studies course. So here I am. My daughter is now 28. And what have I been doing for the last 10 years? Empowering women, speaking all over the world, branching out and pioneering women's entrepreneurship in my country. So sometimes you think you want something and it's got to look like this. And then it ends up looking like this. I mean, you really, people listen to you on the, what was it? The intercom? Is that what they called it when you did announcements in school? And then all of a sudden you're listening to this radio station that was doing farm reports. Thank God to the Beatles. And then all of a sudden you're like, I want to be a disc jockey. I mean, that's the messy bits. That's the part really of the entrepreneurship that we don't talk about so much, that people go, oh, there's 1,000 different journeys to the same location, right?
Right.
So,
exactly. Yeah. So I get down to Oklahoma, and I'm kind of like freaking out because I'm thinking, oh boy, what's the culture down there like in Oklahoma? And is it going to be weird? And do I have to wear a white belt and white shoes or what? And it turns out that my professors were all Yankees that had gone to college in Boston, worked on their doctor's degree and from up north. So and I connected them years later as well when I lived in New Hampshire. And while I was there, I get to my senior year and I took a lot of summer school so I could knock out college, since they carried over my D's from college in Boston for some reason. I had to get to be a sophomore, I had to take this remedial reading course on this primitive computer looking thing where you could press a button and make